Beginning to think this is a Firefox issue. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, my dashboard in Firefox for the backside of Twitch doesn't always show me the live video after we go live. Alrighty. Welcome, we are back into working on our current needle felting project again today. For those that are new here, we are needle felting along with Bob Ross's Season 3 of The Joy of Painting. We have done all of the tutorials, followed along with all of them up to episode 12, which is what we are currently working on. We had a good weekend at the farmer's market, and all of the ones that we had the hangers on got rehomed. There was a few left that didn't have the hangers on them. I'm going to be using them as a test to see if something will work to for a question that came up. So but maybe half of them, because I guess we started putting the hangers on around episode 5. The pink one, I think, was our first hanger that we did. What episode was the pink one? Yeah, episode 5. So we rehomed about 4 of them. Which was more than I was expecting. So, it is Monday. We have the link pinned in the chat for anyone that wants to follow along with this tutorial in full, because we have it muted and paused most of the time. I did advance the tutorial, as you can see down below the row of green trees. He's got some grass in around the water, which is what we started working on yesterday, and where we are picking back up today. I got a little bit of video editing done on the speed felt for episode 11. I'm still on that second video, however, or the second live stream session, but I only have an hour left of that one to get through. So depending on how disastrous the evening goes, or how busy our evening goes, we will move on to that. And try to get that last hour of session 2 finished up. It did take me about 2 hours to get through an hour video last night, but I was real distracted, as I always am. So I don't know how much time I'll have to edit over the next couple of days while we are dark on the channel, because I have to clean our art area and reorganize it, since the oil paints are going to be arriving. Later this week, so I have to figure out where I'm going to put them and how I'm going to handle the storage for all of that. I was actually hoping, in an ideal world, I would have time to sit down and get all of the excess yarn that's left. But that might involve gallon Ziplocs busting at the seams. And it takes a little bit to get through some of that yarn, so I have to figure out where I'm going to put my canvas, because my canvas is sitting on top of my one large yarn bucket, so I have a good sized tote sitting here. It is just busting with our skeins of yarn. I have to refill some of the bags too. That's the tricky part, trying to dig out all the colors. Did they call yet?
Huh?
Did they call yet?
No.
Where were you?
Mowing lawn.
Oh. Alright. We had to take one of the guinea pigs to the vet because we think, I know we said we weren't going to, but we think they might have an ear infection, which is something that we can fix. I didn't see the battery in your hand, so I wasn't sure if that's what you were doing. Unfortunately, the exotic vet at our second choice vet is booked for like the next week. And they were like, well, you could drop her off and we'll get to her when we get to her today. We can try to squeeze her in, but we actually had to leave a deposit ahead of time, which we've never had to do there before, so I'm confused. As to when they started doing that. Like, real confused. Now, I do have us sitting sideways here. I'm sort of sorry about that. I need to be able to see what I'm doing. And it's easier to have this turned sideways. At least for a little while. In order to get this section lined up right. Now, I'm not sure if our tape along the edges is going to do anything to help us keep the edges straight. That is definitely an experiment in that regard. And right now, we're just working on getting the dirt in around our lake here. There is going to be grass going in over top of this. I do have a small section here on the edge that I've got the base of our gray felt poking through. I might leave that be, because it is on the very edge. And I'm thinking that the grass colors, excuse me, should be covering that as we get down there. So right now I'm just kind of more worried about getting the majority of our gray here filled in, just in case we have any spots that we miss with our grass. Then we'll have some dirt peeking through. If this is a step that you would rather forego, that is fine also. You'll just have to make sure that your grass is really tightly compacted so that you don't lose any space and have the gray visible. If you're wanting to tightly follow Bob. Now we are attempting to follow along with Bob. However, we are using a different medium than he is. So that's going to change our outcome a little bit, our final piece a little bit. Because you can't quite blend this identically to paint. You're gonna get a multitude of shades with like one brush stroke. With paint, with that liquid white down, and then whatever colors you mixed together. So we are just kind of doing the best we can to try to reproduce a close final shade to what he gets when everything gets mixed together on the canvas. And don't forget to pull your piece up off of your fabric mat if you're using a fabric mat periodically, so it doesn't become too attached to the mat, because then you're just gonna have all kinds of heartache. Nobody wants that. Trust me, nobody wants that. Now, I might have to end up redoing the dirt around the water a little bit. I really should pause on the dirt here. And work on getting that water put in, I think. So that way we don't get too bunched up. Where our water is gonna go. Alright, so remember, we're gonna have grass going in there. Let me find my watercolor. Like the watercolor fluff, not actual watercolor paint. We've got a lot of fluff in this bucket. This bucket seems endlessly deep right now. Where the heck is it? Hang on. We're gonna have to go on an expedition. Where are you? Very bottom of the bucket. Of course. Okay. Of course it's the very bottom. Alright, so the watercolor that I am using is going to be Denim Blue from the Big Twist Value line of yarn from Joann's. Not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. So it's probably a good idea for us to start to work this water in, because I think I'm going to need to add a little bit of extra brown along the edges so that the brown looks a bit more like it's overlapping. In places. And that will make our lives just a little bit easier. Do you have to add the brown coming down into the water? You don't have to. You could have your grass going right up to the very edge of it. And that's gonna be up to you. It might look a little better with at least a little bit of brown coming down into the water. That is just a little bit of water in that water bottle lid that we've got set aside there. We are getting back into the oil paints. I thought I was done with it. It's messy and takes a while to dry. And it can have a bit of a smell to it. And I didn't want to stink up the entire house. But after people were quite enthused with the oil paintings, just gonna brush that down on the back. Now I don't have a whole lot of pressure where my finger is sitting. We're just kind of lightly sitting there. So, I mean, it's not a bad color for water. I think it's working out better than grabbing our same sky color. At least in this instance. For like this particular setting. Now you don't have to make the fluff snakes. I do just because I find it's a little bit easier to work with for me with the acrylic yarn. But if you'd rather just grab some poofs and lay it down, then go for it. I just find it makes it a little bit easier to work with for me. And of course, the bigger and thicker piece of fluff that you grab, the more tapping it may take to make sure that it's all nice and secure. Or as secure as you want it to be. Which will probably come down to preference. hope everybody's having a good Monday so far. Ours started off kind of neutral, and then we noticed one of the guinea pigs acting strange. They were tilting their head and kind of like shaking their head a bit. She almost fell over a couple of times, and I'm like, what the hell happened here between yesterday and today? So we're thinking possible ear infection. So we're like, well, that's something that could be fixed. We weren't sure if we should try to get some over-the-counter stuff first. She was still eating okay. So we will see. Okay. I was gonna get started a little bit sooner, but I had someone that I've been playing message tag with on Instagram get back to me, so I needed to message them back. Yesterday my neck was doing okay, and today it's kind of meh. It's not quite as humid today though. It's still kind of warm, but not quite as swampy out there. Not like it's been. And that is Cow yelling in the background. What is that? Can't tell if that's a thin spot or if that was just the way the coloring in the fluff tightened up together. So this one does seem to have a little bit of gray running through it. Gray or white or something. Maybe like a light gray. KofiBot's having fun in the chat. Still not sure if I'm going to take Kofi down. I might. Or at least I might close the shop on Kofi. Okay. See, I don't always have to use the water. Sometimes I can get enough grip on it on my palms where I don't have to use it. The water is just a little bit of friction so I can get this into a shape that I want to use, that I have an easier time working with. I don't know if we'll be getting to the grass today. We might not. And I mean, that's okay if we don't. See, just like when I grab it, it's so like thin and wispy that I actually like my colors a little bit, the fluff a little bit tighter, so that the colors pop a bit more. That is going to be my personal preference. Of course, you could twist it, braid it, pre-felt some shapes if you're trying to do a tree and stuff. If you want to give it a bit of a pop or like a 3D effect. Okay, now I am using the thicker craft felt on this one as an experiment to see how that goes. It is a little bit more tiring to punch through for my noodly arms, but if the piece comes out a bit more even, then I am open to using this thicker stuff. We will see how that goes. I do need to get some more tape from Dollar General though. I was using the blue painter's tape, but I don't know. The tape from Dollar General, the masking tape, has worked a little bit better at times, to be perfectly honest. At least that's what it seems like. Could be an illusion. So I still have to finish putting in some of our brown over here. But I did kind of get distracted with getting our water popped into here. Okay, I know I do have a little bit of a gappy right there, but that should be easily dealt with once we start getting our brown back in there. Right, I think I started to say this earlier and I don't think I finished the thought. So I just have my finger resting on top of the end of this bit of fluff here, and that's just to keep my needle from grabbing too much too soon. because it will just grab all of it and start shoving all of it through whatever it can grab, because the needle doesn't know that it wasn't supposed to grab that much yet. So I'll just use the weight of just my finger just sitting on it. That's enough. You don't have to push down. Just, you know, sitting there hanging out is more than fine. Okay, I think it's about time we rotated our mat here. Might as well. And it's probably a good idea to rotate your mat, whatever you're using, unless you're using foam, although it might be a good idea to rotate your foam, just to help with the wear on it, so it wears a little bit more evenly. Okay. How goes it?
Got our backyard left to do, but I ran out of juice. Both me and the battery.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting this all worked into here. You know, it'll take a minute to get all that tapped on in. Water. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to do all of the water and then come back to deal with the dirt. Maybe we should get all the water in first. Like, we don't have that much dirt left to fill in over here. Did you check your phone?
Oh, yeah, I haven't got any calls yet.
I wasn't sure if you would have heard it with the mower running.
I have my earphone plugged in so the ringtone would show up in my ears if it did. Oh.
At least it's not as hot as yesterday.
Yes, granted.
Or as humid, really. So this is actually a bit of a pathway. We haven't gotten that far yet, but this isn't water in here. So we won't be taking the water in that direction. The woodpecker seems quite enthused that we filled the suet. I've been hearing Cal over there. Somebody's been visiting. It was terribly funny that he was on the opposite window last night around dinner time. Like, hey, the suet's empty. It was definitely a younger one. I don't know if he was thinking we had one over on that, but alright. So let's start to work this next bit in, and I tend to overlap my bits of fluff here just because I think it lays a little bit better. And then you don't have weird shaped bits of fluff. Laying in here, and it's like, well, that's weird, and all these jagged seams and stuff. Oh no, you missed it this morning. Shit.
Yeah, don't I know it?
I just realized.
Yeah, so did I. About 1 o'clock I realized. Too little too late at that point.
Do we need to change the time on that?
No, it's just, every time's inconvenient, huh?
Okay, I just didn't know if a different time would be better.
No, my days are just busy now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's just half the time I'm busy doing something whenever the alarm goes off. I don't think I can stay up any later regularly.
Whoa, chair, where are we going? Where are we going, Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair's taking me halfway across the room. Alright, so let's get this next bit of fluff in. Or see about getting it in. I do have a light spot there, but I don't think we're quite ready to fill that in yet. This piece is a little too big. I think we can get away with a smaller bit of fluff for that. Is he behind me?
Probably.
Hi. Arrgh. Hi, Momo. Give me 1 minute, Momo. Your brother sandbagged me outside while Daddy was gone. I had to carry him in. I even gave him some time in the sun with Mimi. And Mimi tried to catch something. And I don't know if it was a mouse or if it was a bird, but she seemed really confused. So I guess it got away from her. Momo, give me 1 second. I just want to finish tapping this in. You're the most impatient pupper. Okay, so Momo's demanding potty. I will be right back. I am going to run an ad while I'm gone. It might be maybe 5 minutes. That'll definitely be done before we get back. Okay. Excuse me. We are back. And getting resituated here. Yeah, like, we definitely have to put another piece of fluff on that. I just kind of feel like it doesn't have to be all that huge. I'll tell you, the wasps are sure enjoying our hummingbird feeder. Has she seen any hummingbirds aside from that one?
Not that I know of.
Okay, that's a little bit better there. Okay, oh, this color is similar to our pad color. Oh, how about that? It's not the exact same. It's a little darker, but it's close. Definitely close. Okay, I think... Well, no, I guess we should finish one. I don't know. I'm kind of wanting to get the rest of the dirt put in, but at the same time, I'm like... No, no, finish the water. You don't have that much water left to fill in. But we kind of do have a little bit of water to fill in still. Now, I am okay with going over the line a little bit, because we can trim that up. If we need to. If we need to. I mean, we're already going to trim the section with the tape on it. We might leave the tape on and trim it with the tape there. Potentially. And see how that goes. I don't know. Might be a little harder to trim that way. My tape got a little bit further from the edge in this section than I really wanted it to be. But it's not like the end of the world either. Okay. So our lake is taking shape here. Slowly. We're a Franken lake at the moment. But that's okay. So we will get there in the end. One way or another. So this all is going to be dirt again down in here, and then there's going to be some shrubs sticking up. That will end up covering this bottom edge. Of the waterline area. So we've got that going. Sorry, right now I'm trying to figure out how far over the line I want that water section to be, because I'm not sure. So like most of this will probably get trimmed off. In that little section. Okay. Alright, so up in here still needs to get fixed up. So we'll get this spot. Momo, you just went out. No. Go lay down. It's not time yet. We just came back in. And you peed, and then you were trying to lick dirt. So we weren't going to stand out there and lick the dirt. Not when we're in the middle of a live stream. No. Momo. You have to wait at least another 10 minutes. We're not doing grass time right now. You got to go on a little expedition to the backyard earlier while Daddy was taking the piggy to the vet. You can argue with me all you want. You also have an emergency potty pad in case this is what I'm misinterpreting. But I'm not going back outside interrupting the live stream so you can lick the dirt. You shouldn't be licking dirt anyway. I don't even know why you're licking the dirt. But I can't walk away for 15 minutes while you decide to eat grass and putz around. And Dad needs to cool off for a minute. Because he was outside cutting the grass. Don't worry, he left you some. That's not a very short cut that we're doing. Or at least it doesn't look like a shortcut.
No.
Unless the front has grown already since you've done it.
It's not a very shortcut either. I'd rather not kill all our grass right before summer.
We still need to trim back some of those leafy things that are alongside the driveway. So that we can see. Okay. So, get this section popped into here. And we've got a little bit more fluff and stuff. I don't know if he's still having peeing trouble, because earlier when I took him out, it was just kind of like dripping. Like while you were gone when I took him out. Like, I wasn't sure if he was faking me out or not with how little was happening. And then we walked a little ways, and then a whole bunch more came out. So I don't know if that's what's going on. Momo, give me a minute. Alright, let's try this again. Oh, I just flung water everywhere. So go grab those snacks now if you didn't earlier. Alright, sorry, puppy's having a rough day with his potty. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention to when we first went out. So, although I'm really frustrated because we're almost out of that food again, which will be over a month that he's been on it, and it seemed like he was improving for maybe a day or two, and then it feels like we're right back to where we started again.
No, don't get too worked up yet.
And I'm really upset that the vet charged a deposit. I did not know they were doing that.
Yeah, I do not know on that.
That seems odd to me. We've always paid them. Although I am worried because she doesn't have a water bottle in there.
What do you mean?
There was no water bottle on that carrier. So
Yeah, they're not going to keep her in the carrier.
we only had the one bottle. Alright. So we're almost done getting the lake filled in. And then we'll get back to our dirt here. She was up. Apparently she did answer the phone. Because she was outside smoking. Oh, and that might be the vet. Hang on, guys. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's another $50. Wouldn't be shocked.
Do I need to go with you or no? Okay. Alright. So let's get this section filled in here. Alright, be careful, you have your wallet. He didn't hear me. Oh well. He probably does from earlier. Alright, so I had that muted a bit, so the vet thinks it's probably an ear infection. We're gonna get antibiotics for 3 weeks. Oh my goodness. Momo, you can't lick the piggies' faces anymore, because I'm not sure if that's how it happened. He's so excited about the guinea pigs that we let him smell them when we're doing kind of up close and personal time with my mom. She's not fast enough to keep them from getting away on her lap, and they're not comfortable enough just sitting on her lap with the cats and stuff, so we kind of have like a basin that we put some fleece in the bottom of, and we put some treats in there to keep them entertained while my mom is petting them and seeing them up close. And Momo gets all excited and tries to lick the pigs. So I don't know if he licked one of their ears, because we don't know how she got the ear infection. But of course, Russell jinxed it, by the way, because he said earlier when we, his mom kind of owed us a little bit of money, and he's like, well, should we just eat it, because we're doing okay this month? And I was like, I don't know. He goes, if we take it back from her, she's gonna have the same problem happen again next month. And I'm like, alright, fine. And then he goes, we've been doing okay, we haven't had any disasters this month. And then 10 minutes later we go to clean the pigs. I'm like, really? Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright. So I'm not quite sure we're completely done with that color yet. So I'm not going to put it away, but we are going to keep it off to the side. Alright, let's get back to our brown here. I don't know if I really needed to add in this bit of brown overlapping the edge of our water here, because we are gonna have that grass coming in. So this is kind of maybe a little bit optional. Okay, so this just kind of cleans up some of that water edge. Okay, I'm just gonna brush this down. All right. You don't have to do that, I just do. I find the front tends to lay a little bit flatter. Alright, so we might have time to start our grass today. Maybe. We'll see what time it is when we get the dirt all in place here. Oh. So I'm going to overlap a little bit on the edge of the water. And I want to try to overlap a little bit on our browns. It's okay if it's not real ideally covered up here, but we still want to do what we can. Like I said, we will have the grass coming in here. So that should take care of any real big mist spots. Excuse me, I've been having a rough allergy morning here. Morning, it's actually afternoon, so that's why I'm a little quiet today. I'm actually really tired, but we're getting through. It's starting to take shape here. It's starting to come together. Russell finally found his spider plant he's been searching for up at the garden center near where the vet's office was. He said he was going to stop in there and check, and when I just took Momo out, we were walking back across the porch. I'm like, wait, where'd that spider plant come from? I was like, you didn't tell me you found one. He goes, oh yeah. And he got a new aloe plant, so we have to figure out what we're going to name the aloe plant. The last aloe plant was George, so George is off the table. I don't know, we might call him Spike. Probably a little cliche, but if it works. And it amuses us. It's probably, okay, see, look. That didn't really do much on that side. So the tape might not have mattered for that experiment. Though I do think I came over the tape line a little bit, so we'll have to try it again. I need to do it a couple of times to see, because I mean, this isn't really our line here, so though I do think with the next Twitch payout we need to get a rotary cutter. If I can find one that can handle this thickness. Because these guys do get pretty thick, and this is already a thick bit of craft felt, so okay, so that split was a little big to leave. Not split, thin spot. Spot that didn't get covered. Gap, I guess. We'll go with gap. That gap was a little too big. Technically it wasn't a thin spot because I don't think anything had gotten attached to that section yet. Okay, so we'll peel that guy up. Let's see, am I over the edge far enough there? I think I might add a little bit more to that one section down in there. Just because I don't know if when we start adding grass that might be an issue. Okay. So we're getting there. Oh, that's blue that I'm seeing. Okay. Never mind. We're fine. Never mind. I thought it was the gray of our felt underneath, but no, that's some blue. So we should be fine there. So I do have to figure out what color we're going to do our dowel at the top on this one. We could do a light blue and extend like the sky up into it. That is a possibility. I hadn't really thought about that before. I was originally leaning towards a purple or a brown. But we could do that. It would be possible. sort of like that same morning blue that we've been using for our acrylic painting that we've been working on over the weekend, or on Saturdays, excuse me. So I mean that's an option. We need a bit more brown. So this color is coffee bean. And this one is from the Paint Box Simply Chunky line. I got these ones from Lovecraft. Not sponsored. Definitely not sponsored. I'm really mad though that this section bowed out. Probably my own fault though. Because the other side looks pretty good, and I haven't been ripping up from this side that much, I don't think. But we'll see if we can get it straight somewhat when we go to clean it up. Okay. Alright, so we get next little bit of brown fluff for right in here along our water line. We had just the smallest of gaps in there that was going to be slightly problematic. If we decided to leave it. Sorry, that spot up there looked like it needed another little tapping. I think I do want to add a little bit more brown. Uh-oh. There it is. Just on this edge here. I'm so mad. Like, I didn't think this edge was gonna get that carried away. And it completely, totally did. But if we manage to follow this up to here, so that means like a little bit of that would get cut off. Because I think our line is like right here, but see, our line kind of moved a bit. Just a bit. Oh well, this was just an experiment, which has shown us that the line on the outside edge still can get carried away. We're not going to snip it yet, because we're not done yet. We'll see. It's always in that one section, so it's got to be me. Okay. So we need just a little bit more on the brown. Not a whole lot. But we do need a little bit. This guy's being a little bit slippery today. So just a little bit. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. I hope everybody's week goes well. Because we won't be streaming again until Thursday. We get back into Coral Island. We've got a bit of a lighter spot right there I want to fill in, just in case. Now that was what I would classify a thin spot. Since there was some brown covering it, just want to make sure it doesn't get worse when we start to put in the grass. Because in theory, it could. There's a slight chance. Oh gosh, we weren't supposed to needle felt through the tape. That's not what we were here to do. It's the first time I've actually felted through the tape. And the other places I've just accidentally stabbed it. Well, first time for everything. I suppose. very stiff. Down here is a little bit more give. But we do have quite a lot of layers of fluff in there. So it's not all that surprising. Okay. Again, sorry for being quiet today. It's just a quiet day. You just get those days where you just kind of zone out. And it's just a quiet one. At least verbally quiet. Outwardly quiet. Internally, my brain is running like 5,000 miles a minute thinking of everything that I still need to do today. Just all of the things. So no wonder I'm tired. That little thin spot there says to me, or gap that opened up really, that we need some more fluff around this curve. Okay. We're getting there. Just have a little bit more on our brown to get through. No, I guess we'll take that one that way. Okay. So I just saw a little speck of gray. Excuse me, in there. Like, that one might be okay. Maybe. But my brain has seen it now, so I don't know if I can unsee it, sort of situation. Okay. Just have a little bit more. On this edge that I want to fill in here. So this down here in this section will probably be, it might be the same brown, and then I'll use the darker brown for the pathway maybe. I think I've got all of the brown down there. Tree. Yeah, we might go with this shade of brown. For everything but the pathway. And I think one of the trees that we've got the trunk actually visible for. Sorry, I was checking my notes there a second ago. Trying to see if I notated it anywhere. And I might not have. Or at the angle I was sitting at, glancing at that. I just didn't see it real quick. Which is also possible. Okay. So, we've got, oh right. Right, we need a little bit of fluff to pop over that. Probably out a little bit further than that needed to be. we'll see what we can do with that. Alright, just gonna give everybody a good brush down. Like with my hand, not with an actual brush or anything. Oh no, I did decide to use this for this area. Okay, I see my notes on that now. Alright. So we picked out forest green, light green, and mustard from Big Twist. Okay. So that's the Big Twist mustard color. What are the other two colors? Forest green and light green. That's hunter green. We might need to fluff more forest green to finish this. And light green. Okay. So this is going to be our grass for around the lake. So we've got that color. And that color. And a little bit, get in there, a little bit of this color, just to kind of give it some pops here. Alright, so we're gonna grab a little bit of this. Kind of pull it apart a little bit and kind of lay that down in there a little bit stretched out. So kind of like how we've been doing our grass for a lot of these. Just kind of stretch that out. Husband's back with the big. Do we have to give her anything now?
Not now.
They did give her some?
I'm going to start it at my pill times.
My mom will be in bed by then.
She'll have to go.
Okay. Okay. And then we're gonna gently swirl these together. Fly is back. Alright, so we're going to have our scissors handy. Alright, where do we want to start this? Do we want to start in the middle? Do we want to start at the edge? Thinking we start at the edge. So just kind of figure out how tall you want your grass to be. You can use your needle just to flick the fibers apart a little bit if you want. Make sure you're not stabbing and then moving. You want to like scrape the surface, because if you stab in and then go to flick, your needle's gonna snap. So And nobody wants a stabbed, or stabbed. Nobody wants to get stabbed. Nobody wants a broken stabbing implement either. So, next bit of fluff here. So again, you're just going to figure out how tall you want your grass to be. And then snip it at the base without cutting the rest of your project. You just want to clip the little tail of your grass colors, and then you can come back in and re-stab everybody back down. Make sure you get the base real good, or you're liable to have those little flyaway fuzzies from having just snipped. And don't forget to pull up every so often. Now you can either stab the base first, or you can stab the tips first, whichever you prefer. Sometimes it's easier to stab tips first if you're trying to maintain a specific height. If you're not super worried about height, then you can start at the base. And go from there. Now this will be a little bit of a longer process because we're going all the way across. And we're doing this the whole way down to here. Essentially. And if you want to stab the trees a little bit more behind the grass to help it lay a little bit better, that's fine too. I don't know how far we're gonna get on the grass today. We'll see. Okay. So it is like green on top of a green background, so it's going to be a little bit hard to see until we get the rest of the rows in here. Oh, we are there. So this is just going to take some patience. And a little bit of time. To get that worked in. All the way across. To your liking. So we've got that starting to go, and you can kind of see that coming in on the camera, I think. It's a small section, so can be a little bit harder to make out at times. Plus, with the smaller strands, it can take a little extra tapping in to get everybody figured out here. So I do have a spot right there where I can't tell if I missed or it just kind of like faded in to the background there. Anything in that spot is entirely possible. Alright, so we'll get that worked into there. I'm just gonna twist that a little bit, re-roll it. And if you want to try to get a little bit more variation in your colors going down, you can always turn it So you've got some more shades popping through in different spots, right? So if it's always yellow peeking through, you can turn it so maybe yellow's towards the bottom in one spot, just to vary the coloration a little bit, if you want. That way it doesn't look quite so striped in sections, if that's something that might bother you. Now, it probably won't look that striped with how we're doing this because of the way we're doing it, right? So we're doing small batches of our color mixture here. And we've had fairly good success with doing the grass this way. So where we get a decent shade variety. And since we're doing it in the smaller sections, like the smaller amounts of our grass mixture, it gets a little more varied because, you know, we can pick a different layer order. We can pick a little more of this color, a little less of that, for each different round of this stuff going in. So Doggos, relax. No, not yet. No. Okay. Yeah, this is probably the only bit of grass we're gonna have time for today, because I don't want to have a set of grass mix hanging around for an entire week, get lost or full of dust bunnies and what have you. It can be a little time consuming to get this in, but that's okay. We're not in a big hurry. Not in a huge hurry, at least. I'm trying to move it along here, but we still have some time before we have to start Christmas gifts here. That's looking fairly good in there. You can kind of see those other colors starting to get picked up a bit. So at the moment I am working from tip to base. At the moment. I don't really have a real preference for how I do it. I tend to go base to tip, but I'll probably do that a little bit more once we get past our first layer here, our first row. Maybe, we'll see. But sometimes you will see me switching back and forth between the two. We're getting a little lumpy in the middle, but I think that's just the nature of how things go with how we're needle felting. Since we're not making creatures, we're doing a lot of stabbing in and pulling up, so I think that's just going to be normal expected wear and tear for how we're doing it. I mean, it's still very much usable. It's not quite like how the other one domed and wouldn't even sit flat anymore. Okay. Alright, what do we think? Can we get 2 sections out of this? Is it going to be too tall? It might be too tall. No, maybe that can just be a taller shrub back there. Sometimes when they get small like that, it's more trouble than it's worth to snip it. It's easier just to like make a V shape and anchor the bottom of the V shape first, and then work your way up sometimes. Alright. So we are coming along pretty nicely, I think, as we are working along here. We got our dirt in, we got the lake in, and we've started to do our grass line back in here. So not so bad. So like I said earlier, we'll be back on Thursday, migraine permitting and life permitting, of course. Up to, excuse me, sorry, to pick up where we've, not on this, we'll be picking up where we left off in Coral Island. And sorry about no Coral Island last week, but I was not feeling well. I had a migraine and my neck was not cooperating, so that is where we will be on Thursday. Friday, we'll probably be back in Streamland Park working on our Tasmanian Devil exhibit and or habitat. Saturday, we'll be back to working on our little farm themed painting that we've got going on. So we'll be finishing up our bacon on our piggy and then outlining everybody down there. And then if we have time, we'll start either the cow or the chicken. Probably the cow. And then next Sunday, we'll be back to this guy. So thank you guys for popping in and checking things out. Don't forget to follow the socially links down below. I hope you have a good week, and I will see you all on